On a lonely pier, a forgotten veteran sits in shadows, invisible to the world. But beneath the dirt and despair lies a legend, once a Navy SEAL who faced death and lost brothers in combat. Tonight, his silence will shatter arrogance, reveal courage, and remind us all that heroes never truly disappear. Let's go to the story. The wooden dock groaned under Lieutenant Jason Connor's boots, the echoes cutting through the late afternoon air. He took another swig of beer, laughter rolling off him like waves against the pier, eyes locking on the solitary figure sitting in shadow. Leaning against a weathered post, head bowed, the man looked like just another soul lost to the streets. Jason turned to his friends, grinning wide. "Hey, look at this. What's your rank, Captain Cardboard, Admiral of the Dumpster Division?" Laughter erupted from his group, loud and careless, but the man didn't move. He just sat there, hands folded, staring at the water, as if it held all the answers he had ever sought. Jason didn't know it yet, but he had just made the biggest mistake of his life. The man in the dirt wasn't just any veteran, he was someone the Navy had tried and failed to forget, and when he spoke, the dock went utterly silent. Wait, before I continue, answer this in the comments. What would you do in this situation? 6 years earlier, Captain Michael Hayes had been a different man. Untouchable, unbreakable, a living legend. He stood on the deck of the USS Freedom in the Mediterranean, salt spray stinging his face, rifle slung across his chest, watching the lights of Beirut flicker like dying stars. Behind him, 8 men, his team, moved with the kind of silent precision only men who'd been through hell together could manage. They called him Longshot because he never missed. 1,200 meters, 1,500, it didn't matter. Darkness, wind, rain, Michael could put a round exactly where it needed to be. He had saved dozens of lives that way, hostages pulled from burning buildings, terrorists neutralized before they could strike, convoys protected from ambush. He was a weapon, a ghost, a myth among his peers. But ghosts don't stay legends forever. August 4, 2015. The mission seemed simple: extract a high-value target from a compound outside Beirut. 45 minutes, tops, but the intel was wrong. The compound wasn't empty, it was a death trap. The first RPG tore through the night, shredding their Humvee, and Michael knew almost immediately some of his men weren't going home. He tried, God, he tried. He called for air support. He dragged 3 men from the flames. He held pressure on wounds that refused to stop bleeding. He fired until his rifle was red-hot, until his hands were blistered and raw. But it wasn't enough. 6 men died that night, 6 brothers, 6 voices that haunted his dreams every single day since. Real viewers only. Comment yes or no. I want to see who's actually paying attention. Michael returned home decorated, 2 Purple Hearts, a Navy Cross, a hero in the eyes of the world. Cameras flashed. Officers shook his hand, but all he could see were the faces of the men who didn't make it back. All he could hear were their screams. The nightmares came a week later. Drinking, fights, isolation. His wife Sarah begged him to talk, to let someone in. He couldn't. He locked the door and threw away the key. One morning, he woke to an empty house, divorce papers on the kitchen table, and a bottle of whiskey in his hand. The VA told him there was a waiting list for psychiatric care. 6 months, maybe a year. They gave him a pamphlet and sent him home. But Michael had no home anymore. His car was repossessed. His storage unit emptied. All he had left was a backpack, a sleeping bag, and the weight of 6 dead men pressing down on him like a lead shroud. Slowly, day by day, Michael Hayes disappeared. 6 years later, Michael sat under Pier 14 in Norfolk, Virginia, close enough to the naval base to hear the horns of destroyers at dawn. The sky was bruised purple and orange. The wind cut sharp across the Atlantic. He'd been sitting there for hours, trying not to think, trying not to remember. His hair was long, gray, greasy, tied back with a piece of twine. His beard tangled and unkempt. 5 layers of clothing hung off his thin frame, a tattered Carhartt jacket over a stained flannel shirt over 2 threadbare t-shirts, jeans held together with duct tape, boots with holes in the soles. Everything he owned fit into a green military-issued backpack. Inside, he carried a water-stained journal filled with names and dates and missions he could never forget. A Zippo lighter engraved with "Long shot, never miss," a single photo of 8 men, arms around each other, grinning like gods of war. 6 of them were gone, 2 were lost in the fog of time. He also kept a small bronze ring in a plastic baggie, the SEAL trident engraved on its face, worn smooth from years of handling. It was a reminder of who he once was. Michael hadn't spoken to anyone in days, not because he avoided people, but because he had nothing left to say. The streets had their rhythm, and he knew it. Wake before dawn, fold the sleeping bag, walk to the church on Broad Street for coffee and stale donuts, sit in the back, avoid eye contact, leave before anyone asked questions, then wander to the waterfront and watch the ships. That's when Jason and his group arrived. Jason Connors was 28, just promoted, desperate to prove himself. Sharp features, slicked back hair, crisp dress whites, boots polished to a mirror shine. He walked like a man who believed the world owed him everything. Behind him were 4 companions, 2 young lieutenants trying to keep up, a woman named Claire, and Petty Officer Martin, older, graying, with decades of service etched into his face. They had been drinking, celebrating Jason's promotion, when someone suggested a walk down the pier. Laughing, joking, the bottle of bourbon swinging between them, they didn't notice the man in the shadows. Jason spotted Michael and froze for a moment, then grinned. "Hey, look at this. We got ourselves a real sailor here." He turned to his friends. Simmons and Torres chuckled nervously, Claire frowned, Martin stayed quiet. Jason stepped closer, boots heavy on the planks. "What's your story, old man? Waiting for your ship to come in." Michael didn't move, didn't blink, just watched the water. Jason's grin widened, feeding on attention. "You know what? I think you're one of those guys, stolen valor, right? Probably bought that jacket at Goodwill, and now you sit here hoping someone will give you money out of pity." Claire stepped forward. "Jason, that's enough. Quick challenge, describe this moment in 1 emoji. Let's see what you pick." "Fire." "Leave him alone," Martin warned quietly. Jason waved them off. He crouched in front of Michael, eyes mocking. "You smell like failure, old man. How does it feel to be invisible? To have nobody care if you live or die?" Then Michael moved, slowly, deliberately. He raised his head, eyes gray, cold, sharp. Eyes that had seen things most people couldn't imagine, that had watched men die and kept moving forward. "Lieutenant," Michael said, voice low and steady. "Captain Michael Hayes, United States Navy SEAL DVGRU, call sign, Longshot. Operation Silent Tide, Beirut 2012. 12 confirmed kills at 1,247 meters, 2 Purple Hearts, 1 Navy Cross." The dock was silent, even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Michael reached into his jacket, pulling out a plastic bag with the SEAL trident ring. He rolled up his sleeve, revealing a faded tattoo, coordinates, a date, 3 words, 33 degrees 33 38 and 35 degrees 30 18 E, August 4, 2015, never forgotten. "I was pulling triggers," he said, voice trembling with quiet fury, "while you were still learning to tie your shoes." The beer bottle slipped from Jason's hand, shattering across the dock. Silence, shock. Martin's face went pale. Claire's hands flew to her mouth. Simmons backed up, white as a sheet. Torres turned and vomited over the edge of the pier. Jason couldn't speak. He could only stare, his confidence shattered. Michael didn't salute. He looked at Martin, then back at Jason. "You want to know what it feels like to be invisible, Lieutenant? It feels like dying every day and nobody notices, not even the ones who swore an oath to never leave you behind." 3 young recruits walking past the dock stopped. One whispered to the other, wide-eyed, "Holy, that's Captain Hayes, Longshot." Michael got to his feet, knees cracking, back protesting. For the first time in years, he stood tall, shoulders squared, every inch a warrior. A recruit jogged up beside him, breathless. "Sir, my dad, he told me about you, said you were the best operator he ever saw. You were a legend." Michael's jaw tightened. "Your dad's still around?" "Yeah," the kid said. San Diego, runs a security company now. Good, hold on to that, Michael said. The kid pulled a crumpled $20 bill from his pocket. Please, sir, take it, get something to eat. Michael took it, carefully, silently. He didn't need it, but he let the boy give it because he could see the desperation in his eyes. I'm watching your comments right now. Tell me, should I continue the story or stop here? He turned and walked away, boots heavy on the planks, shadow long in the fading light. Jason was frozen, surrounded by people who no longer looked at him the same. The laughter gone, camaraderie gone, shame alone remained. Claire stepped up. I can't believe you just did that, Jason. You humiliated a Navy SEAL. Jason's voice was a whisper. I didn't know. That's not an excuse, she said, walking away. The next morning, Michael was under Pier 14, heating water over a small camp stove. Boots approached. 3 men in dress uniforms, including Base Commander Captain Robert Taggart. Captain Hayes, Taggart said, extending a hand. It's an honor. Michael stared, unused to the word, unused to respect. He shook the hands slowly. I heard what happened, Taggart said softly. Lieutenant Connors is being disciplined, but that's not why I'm here. You shouldn't be living like this. You've given more than most ever will. It's time we make it right. Michael's throat tightened. I don't need charity. It's not charity. VA programs, housing, healthcare, psychiatric support. No waiting list, just say the word. He looked out at the ships, horns blowing in the morning mist. What if I'm not ready? Then we wait, but you won't do this alone anymore. Michael's voice cracked slightly. Okay. 3 weeks later, he sat in a small VA apartment, looking at the ocean. Clean, warm, simple. On the table, the framed photo of his team, smiles frozen in time. Next to it, a letter from Rachel, sister of one of the men who died. Captain Hayes, it read, my brother Daniel spoke of you constantly. You were the best leader he ever had. You brought him home. Thank you for surviving. Michael read it 3 times, folded it carefully, and whispered to the empty room, I'm still here, boys, I'm still here. The sun set over the ocean, painting the sky gold and crimson. For the first time in 6 years, Michael Hayes believed there could still be a place for him in this world. Wait. Right now, in the comments. One word. What did this story just make you feel? G.O. I'm reading every single one. 1 second pause. Type ghost if you got chills. Type respect if you're standing a little taller today. Do it now. Let's flood this comment section with American pride. Your turn. Comment fast.